So here's a name that we have not heard about in a long while. So a big piece of Transformers comic book history back in the 80s was that of a character named Death's Head. And he's one of those characters that, while a large portion of his history is tied to Transformers, he's still one of those characters that escapes the bubble of the Transformers brand and is still able to be an independent Marvel property. This is something that has existed for many years within Marvel, where they had a lot of toy-related brands that they were doing in the 80s, whether it be, The Legend of Crystar, or whether it be G.I. Joe, or whether it be Transformers. And then original characters are created within those comic books, and then that creates this obscureness where it's like, well, does it belong to Marvel? Does it belong to Hasbro? Is it a Transformer thing? And Death Head was one of those examples. Another one of those being a Circuit Breaker from the Marvel books, where she was this human character that I don't know. I want to say like a super powered up version of Dazzler. I guess is the best way to describe her in terms of physically, if you can imagine her in your mind, like 80s Dazzler. But more with like...
Okay, jeez. Is 80s Dazzler the one with the leather jacket
and the short
jumpsuit?
hair and the short hair? Yeah.
And the headband?
Yeah, not the Farrah Fawcett Dazzler from the 70s.
Okay. Not the disco 80s go-go, right?
Exactly.
Okay, just making sure.
So Death's Head was one of these characters that was created by, and again, when you look at the two people that created him, you're like, oh, okay, I could see how this all... Simon Furman. Because Simon Furman created him, and he was created outside of the Transformer comics, that when Simon really had a good run with the Transformer comics in the UK, he brought in Death's Head. He figured, well, giant robot bounty hunter, it just works out. And considering that Transformers at the time was already familiar with crossing over with other Marvel properties, whether it be Spider-Man or whether it be the Savage Lands where the Dinobots were located, It just seems natural at the time to do something like that. Well, we got a giant robot bounty hunter already in the Marvel Universe that I write. Might as well throw him in with my other Marvel property, a.k.a. Transformers. So time passes, and of course, Marvel doesn't have the Transformer comics anymore. So what happens to this character? Well, he would go on to do his own thing. There was Death's Head 2, and it was its own standalone books, completely not related to Transformers, and it just kept flowing from that point on. And that was the character of Death's Head for the longest time. He appeared in the Sword comics, he appeared in the Marvel superhero comics, but otherwise kind of was low-key, didn't really, show up in the mainstream outside of that. His biggest, claim to fame or news from the modern era was for anyone who is a 3-inch Marvel collector of the action figures.
Oh, yeah.
And I was very excited about this just as a Transformer fan. He finally got his own toy, which was he got a 3-inch figure under the Marvel emblem. And again, no mention of Transformers. It just mentioned that he was a bounty hunter who hunted down robots and stuff like that. And that was it. But that could be anything. That was his entire run. The funny thing is that Death's Head, because he was such a British-related kind of and a UK-related kind of creation also, he even had a crossover with Doctor Who. So,
oh, really?
Yeah,
wow.
So the Doctor Who fandom also could, add him in a lot of ways.
That's pretty cool.
So, and it's the funny thing is I don't read the Doctor Who books, but I did a little research on Death's Head a long while ago when I was talking about his history for a panel, and I remember mentioning how, well, when he fought the Doctor, he was the same size as the Doctor, so he has this ability to shrink and grow pretty much. So he was I think he was 7 feet when he fought the Doctor or something.
Jeez, that's still huge.
Yeah, but still compared to when he was fighting Transformers,
Right. Okay.
then he'd be 25 feet or something, or even more. But yeah, so that's, he was a character that if you read the UK books, specifically the Time War stuff with Rodimus and Galvatron, he was a big player and he appeared a lot in that. And this is a character that has a huge tie to Transformer history. It's kind of in the same way that, if you're a Transformer fan, you're going to buy a Spider-Man toy, you're probably going to buy the black costume one because of the cover with Megatron and stuff. So he's this key character. Why am I bringing up all of this? So years later, it seems that, again, not related to Transformers at all, but because he does have that Transformer history, we bring it up here on the podcast for people that might be interested. Marvel has announced that they're going to be working on a brand new Death's Head series. We don't know if it's going to be long form, if it's going to be a mini series. All we know right now, we have a preview. Essentially, Keizama, and here's the funny thing: the people that are working on this book, some of the people that are working on this book, have a Transformer history. So it's I almost feel like it's intentional. So the writer itself, it's Trini Howard, doesn't have a Transformer history, but everyone else. So like the main artist of the book, Keizama, who's been to many auto assemblies in the past and has been to, I want to say, 2 BotCons in the past, and has worked on Transformer stuff in the past with James Roberts and More Meets the Eye, The Lost Light, is going to be doing the main art for the book. And also, famously known for The Last Stand of the Wreckers and all of that stuff, Nick Roche is going to be doing some of the covers. Not all of them, but certain covers are going to be done by Nick Roche. And we have images right now of some of the variant covers and stuff like that for issues 1 and issue 2. And so I don't know which one's Nick's cover, but it shows that there's clearly whoever is, like, let's say the editor for this book, they're making a self-conscious effort to pull in people from the Transformers creative teams through different parts of history to do this book. So it's pretty clear who the audience probably is going to be for this, judging by who they're picking to put this book together. But I mean, at the same time, it's been a while since Death's Head has had a book, so I don't know if this is going to fall within, because is it going to be Marvel UK continuity? Is this a Death's Head made for the Marvel ongoing continuity of the 616? Is this something that is a reboot and it's a standalone thing? We don't know. That we don't know yet. So this is something that supposedly it's going to be at C2E2. We're going to learn more information about. I think C2E2 has actually passed. Sorry.
Yeah, it passed already.
So we're going to learn more info about this, and we'll see what's happening. But you know, we have the crazy robot bounty hunter Death Head, and he's back in some shape or form. So if you're
quick question about the Death Head.
Yes.
Do you think that Lockdown was kind of made in order to kind of homage him, or kind of be like, oh, we want to get a bounty hunter, but we can't use Death Head. Let's make a new guy.
Well,
do you think they have kind of a relation to each other? In creation, I mean. That's
a call that really. If we had Derek Wyatt here, he probably would be better, because I mean, when I look at Lockdown, I know that Derek, a lot of times when he was designing these characters, he already knew kind of what voice actor was going to be used, and that also influenced a lot of the design. Now, for people that don't know, Lockdown from animated was voiced by Lance Hendrickson. Best known for, I guess, Alien would probably be, and Aliens would probably be his biggest role, maybe.
Yeah, he was Bishop. He was the. Well, I don't know if it's a spoiler.
Yeah, no, it isn't.
It's more so Aliens.
If you haven't seen Alien at this point, shame on
Aliens.
Well, Alien 2, he was in it.
No, I don't think it's the same guy. I think it's two different.
Oh, it's a different one.
Actors.
Okay.
Yeah, Alien it's one, and then Aliens it's another guy. His character's name is Bishop.
You're right, because he was a synthetic in the second one.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
And in the first one it's a synthetic as well,
but
it was a different one. Like you don't know.
Yeah, you're right. But if you haven't seen Aliens, especially, because that's like sci-fi movie 101. Every single like every kind of.
That's more like action horror.
Yeah, but it's been like quoted so many times. And reference. It's like, game over, man. Like it's from that.
Get away from her, you.
Yeah, exactly. So either way, getting off, like what I meant by that is just, the hook hand. I'm pretty sure if you ask Derek, there's some kind of connection there, because every single character with Transformers Animated has some kind of like deep explanation, right? Even down to like Captain Fanzone. Like, Derek was like, oh, there was this British, show with this cop in it, and so like he's based on that. Like
awesome.
Everyone had some kind of logic or reasoning. I don't see the Death's Head connection. So like just from my own personal experience, Death's Head, the funny thing about him was he was one of these characters that had a I don't want to say a vocal quirk, but he had a speaking quirk where he would always kind of like stammer and then end a sentence with a question. So he'd always be like, so, I went out somewhere and I think the food was good. Yes. Like he kind of like talks like that, where it always kind of.
Or is it, or maybe like it's supposed to be read more like a Beast Wars Megatron? Yeah.
No, yeah. Beast Wars Megatron didn't have a question.
Or I guess, all right, but I guess if there's a question mark at the end, then he's doing a question.
Yeah. It was always, and it's always like a question.
Okay, so never mind.
So like it's, and again, Lockdown's a lot more darker. Lockdown, if anything, is more Boba Fett than he is Death Head. You know what I mean? It's kind of, he's more that traditional badass bounty hunter. But the funny thing is if you talk to a lot of UK people, they always say like, Death's Head was kind of also like their Wolverine. Like he was just this badass character that appeared in a lot of books. And again, in the UK, the black and white books were weekly. They weren't monthly like some of the other stuff. So there was a lot of Death's Head. And again, if you pick up Best of UK, which was printed by I think Titan Press back in the day, and I know they also did Best of UK stuff with IDW, there's a lot of Death's Head books you could read and stuff. And there's a lot of good, again, it's a lot of really good stuff. A lot of the UK stories by Simon Furman that feature Death's Head or that don't feature Death's Head are some really good stuff. So if you get a chance, go out and read that stuff. It's really good. And it'll be kind of it'll give you kind of an idea of the character, and then you could jump into these books and you'll at least have a preconceived notion of how this character is supposed to be. So yeah, definitely check this out. We'll talk more about it when we know more. We only really know like artist, writer, and here's how the covers look. We don't know really the story yet or what's going to be happening. So we'll let you know when